What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new Flamewar card coming out in the third set of the Transformers trading card game, War for Cybertron Siege. It is Specialist Flamewar, and it has been revealed by the lovely folks at Transformers TCG Towers in a really lovely note over on Facebook, so do please make sure you go and check that one out. So Specialist Flamewar then. We had a Flamewar back in Wave 1. It's one of my favourite cards in terms of cost to goodness ratio. I love that it can give you bold 1 or tough 1 while being a 5-star card with frankly pretty decent stats. So what about this new Flamewar then? Well, it's a 7-star card, so the cost of it has gone up a little bit, although really it seems like 5 cost now is reserved for combiners and for kind of your micromasters. You don't see regular cards very much being 5-star. And the stats here are quite nice. Attack of 4 on a 7 cost is pretty good. We would generally expect 4 on an 8 cost. The health of 10 is fine, potentially a little bit low, and the defense of 1 or 0 is frankly a little bit poor, though it's mitigated, we'll see that in a moment. So comparing it to the Wave 1 Flamewar then, we've got more attack, less defense, and the same health. It's pretty much equitable stats here, except it's a 7 cost. But that's alright, because it's got really nice skills. Now, we see in alt mode here, it's got stealth, generally. Now, we've seen from all of the Micromasters, who are very small, easily KO'd bots, they all have stealth when untapped. That means that you can... Well, to go back a step, stealth says that if your opponent can attack other characters, they have to. So if all of your characters are untapped, your opponent gets a choice. So they cannot go after a bot with stealth. The exception is that if all of your characters have stealth, essentially none of them have stealth. And then if you've got multiple tapped characters and one of them's got stealth, your opponent cannot go after the one with stealth. If, however, I start and all my characters are untapped and I attack with Flamewar, such that Flamewar is the only tapped character, then my opponent is not able to go after other characters. My opponent is only allowed to go after tapped characters. Flamewar is my only tapped character. Ergo, they have to go after Flamewar even though it's got stealth. What is interesting with the Micromasters is that they only have stealth when untapped, whereas Flamewar has stealth all of the time. The difference being with a Micromaster, you have to be really careful when you tap it. Remember, they all have tap abilities, so you can just use their ability rather than attacking, but then they're tapped and they lose stealth. Whereas Flamewar here, as long as you attack with something else first, and it's not your first tapped character, you can pretty much keep it on the field for as long as you like. Could backfire, but then again, if you really want your opponent to go after Flamewar, or you don't want to stop them, go in bot mode. Because you see, bot mode, ladies and gentlemen, is where Flamewar gets really rather interesting indeed. Flamewar here has Focus 2. Now, Focus is awesome. We saw Focus on RC rather recently, and I quite like that it's the 2 motorbikes that have brought us Focus, although to be fair, RC isn't actually a motorbike in Wave 3, it's a car. Never mind. The point is, it's got Focus 2, whereas RC only had Focus 1. Focus is a new skill, a new keyword skill, whereby before flipping battle cards when you battle, that is attacking or defending, you may look at the top X cards of your deck and scrap as many as you like. So Flamewar here's got Focus 2, so before attacking, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and you can scrap one or both of them, or none. And when you're defending, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck and you can scrap 0, 1, or 2 of them. It gives you a real bonus. And this really leads you towards mixed decks. Decks that are playing both orange and blue icons. Orange for attacking, blue for defending. It means that if you're attacking and you see some blue icons, you can get rid of them, and that doesn't guarantee that you hit orange icons, but it does increase the chances that you will. Similarly, while defending, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and if they're both orange, you scrap them. And it doesn't guarantee that you're going to hit blue icons, but it increases the chance that you will. Now, of course, what you could do here is play this in a mono-orange or mono-blue deck, where you're only playing orange or blue icons, and essentially you would use this to increase the chance of hitting double icons. Because back in Wave 1, we had some double blue and double orange icon cards, which weren't star cards. We did talk about this the other day, but essentially, since then, we haven't had any that aren't, and I don't believe we ever will again. So you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and if they're not double icons, scrap them. Sure, you might still hit single icons, but you've now increased the chance of hitting the double icons. Now, in terms of Flamewar as an attacker, you've got an attack of 4, a defense of 1. You're clearly better suited as an attacker. Your attack is always higher than your defense, well, mostly. But the point here is that you've got average attack and below average defense, so you really do fit better as an attacker. But it's not going to stop you playing this in a defensive-minded deck and going, look, I might only have 1 defense, but with my focus 2, I'm going to have a better chance at surviving here. But it really is, and they point this out in the article, it's the mixed deck, the orange and blue deck combined, that really makes us like this. Because those decks are inherently less consistent, less reliable, less predictable. Because you could flip orange and blues randomly. They're both in there. And what Focus does is it takes away variance. It stops you from being that surprised. There's still an element of surprise, but less so. So you play an inherently less predictable deck, and then Focus 2 makes it more predictable. It's not quite having Bold 2 and Tough 2, because you get to flip extra cards, and certainly in a mono deck, Focus 2 is much worse than Bold 2 and Tough 2. But in a mixed deck, really Bold 2 and Tough 2 are there to try and allow you to hit more orange and blue, and that's kind of what Focus 2 does. We've only seen RC and Flamewar with Focus so far, but this is a really nice card, and a really nice skill, and I can see this seeing some love. Now, in Alt Mode, it is a motorcycle, and as we've talked about on a number of occasions, motorcycles don't have any extra skills, boo, hiss, etc. But the good news is that no matter what mode you're in, Alt or Bot, you're a specialist. Which means you've got multi-mission gear and multi-tool to play an extra action or an extra upgrade. But as far as I'm concerned, way better than that, you've got Field Communicator that lets you play the top card of your deck. And as I've explained in a number of videos, what's awesome about this is that you get to play a card that isn't in your hand, whereas with the multi-cards, you get to play an extra action or an extra upgrade, but you've got to have them in your hand at the time. And that means that you're basically dwindling down your hand size. That can be a little bit annoying. Specialist is one of my favourite types at the moment. I love Field Communicator. Plus, you've got the white icon there, which means when flipping it while attacking or defending, you can just roll with this and get those 2 extra flips. It's really quite nice. There is also maybe an argument here to play Flamewar with stuff like Nemesis Prime. I'm not saying with Nemesis Prime, it's just an example. But Nemesis Prime wants to run through your deck as fast as possible, and one of the things that Focus does really nicely is that it lets you run through your deck faster, because every time you attack, you can get rid of 2 extra cards. And every time you defend, you can get rid of 2 extra cards, especially if you're playing a couple characters with Focus, and you know that there are going to be battle cards that give you Focus in the future. We've not seen any yet, but we've got battle cards that give us Bold, and battle cards that give us Tough, battle cards that give us Pierce, and battle cards that give us Stealth, and battle cards that give us Brave, and you see where I'm going with this. We're going to get cards that give us Focus. And this is going to be a skill that you're going to want in any deck where you want to run through. But there's a lot of stuff to like about this, and especially if you start building Focus. Imagine if we get a card that gives you Focus 2, and then all of a sudden Flamewar's sitting there with Focus 4, and now you're picking the best 4 cards from the top of your deck, getting rid of the others before you even start battling. This could have a huge impact on games in the future. So I'm excited about Flamewar, but I'd like to know what you think about it. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and a whole bunch of other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.